What's up? What's up? What's happening? Got another good day on our hands. We woke up, we made it. Shout out to the ancestors. Shout out to the universe. If you're watching this, you made it to another day. Got another reaction video, analysis video. Um, Today we're going to be listening to a military veteran give his perspective. I think this is great. I don't necessarily think that all people should be looked at as role models. However, I do believe that every person has information that can be pertinent to the lives we are living in our daily awakening experience. Um, Quick shout out to myself. Add me on Instagram or plug, yeah, at my Instagram at the.b.o.n.experience, at the BOM experience, only on Instagram, only on YouTube. Um, and yeah, just keep tapping in with me, going strong, have some more time on my hands. Camera quality looks a lot better in the daylight. I just don't like all the background, but that's gonna come in due time. Uh, Still gonna get more equipment, all in due time though. But let's get to the actual meat of the dish. Um, let's get into this reaction. Yeah. Uh-huh. Cool, cool. Y'all see me? I know y'all see me. Just making sure. All right, let's get into this.
So you really would not just see that as I'm sure that the CEO was making millions of dollars
Yeah.
a year. I'm
I just want to add this in too. Now that you said it, and you can see it in the name clearly. But for those that are just listening in, this is about Luigi Mangione. Shout out Anton Daniels. I believe he coined him as player number two. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, this is. I like listening to veterans that serve because when you're in scenarios where your life is being tested, you end up looking at life with a more rational, realistic mindset. A lot of people are delusional. When I say a lot, I'm not saying a large number. When I say a lot, I mean a portion of. And it's usually people within that portion that end up having influence on certain things, and it's a much deeper, complex reason for that. Um, but we need people that actually have a rational outlook on life, not too extreme or radicalized, but someone that can actually just break things down, like this guy. But let's get back into it. I don't want to talk too much.
sure.
Mhm.
You wouldn't look at it as, hey, I worked hard and I worked my way up, and this is a great job at a great company, and I'm making millions of dollars a year. For you, it would be something more. This is a
Yeah.
crooked system, and I just wouldn't want to take one dime from it.
Well, it couldn't be a great company or a great organization if it's crooked at the same time.
Early in the video, not even a minute in, that was very important. Now, you can also say, well, this guy went overseas and he was killing people, this, that, and the third. Listen, I agree with you. However, sometimes you need somebody that has stood next to the devil to tell you what the devil is doing. Because sometimes we just don't want to believe those that don't have to stand next to the devil to know what the devil is doing. So now when you got somebody that's sitting there like, hey man, I've been a part of organizations, the U.S. military, these people are going over to fight somebody else's war, killing people on someone else's behalf that had nothing to do with them so they could get paid, pay their bills, take care of their families, whatever the case may be, or just because they wanted some direction in life and now they're a pawn in somebody else's war. Now you got somebody sitting here saying the truth. Listen, how great could an organization be if it's rooted in negative energy? I mean, at what cost? What is that really a great company? Let's get back into it. That was very interesting. I like how he came off in this clip. Yeah.
The bad's always that will weigh more on my conscience than anything else. I couldn't stand for it. I would not want my face attached to it, especially when you got families who can't simply afford to have certain health care services or whatnot. You know, if you need to be seen, you should be taken care of. You got countries out here who have universal health care. You got the government that funds everything. They don't have to come out of pocket for it. In other countries, and we're supposed to be the greatest and best one in the whole wide world, but then you got other countries that don't have to spend a dime on health care. They're taken
Yeah,
care of.
yeah.
You got countries out here who don't have all the extra crap and additives and GMO and all this stuff inside their food, and it's banned. And you can't find anything, a child's drink or some cereal or something like that without, what is it, red 40 in it, all this nasty chemicals and stuff.
Now, and I also want to add this into, so many people get caught up in the fact of, oh, well, it's the healthcare CEO. Do you feel this way about all CEOs, all people that make money? No, that's not the sentiment. The sentiment is when you get to a certain plateau and you've done it, whether your intent was genuine or not, if the energy you were operating in was of a negative, let's say, what's the word for it, was of a negative velocity, that energy has to come back to you. That is a law of the universe. So that requires a level of intent of what you're doing. So there are people that, okay, let's take the banking institutions, right? We know for a fact that if shit was to hit the fan and this whole country collapsed, whatever money you got stored in that bank, they're not giving it to you. How would they still operate if they gave you back your money? They need your money in the bank so they can go to the foreign exchange market and trade off your money so they can keep making money before they give money back to you. And that's going to be even harder because now the country means nothing for them in this hypothetical scenario. And now they're trying to get off this money to make money, and you're asking for your money back. But then you have people that get rich in the banking industry, or you can even take the healthcare system. At some point, the energy is going to come back, right? There's a overarching question about what's going on with the healthcare industry. I love working in the healthcare industry because after a certain point, you do need doctors, you do need surgeons. But then there's also the question of what about the bad apples that are sitting here prescribing you medications, prescribing you pathways of health that isn't necessary, that's making you a long-term patient, right? And it's not to say they're doing it on purpose. What if what they're doing is what they were trained to do, and not trained to think about the implications of what they're doing? So let's get back into it.
Stuff that I can go pick up off the shelf at Home Depot in a chemical section, and it's also on the back of my ingredients for food I'm about to eat. No, I don't. Morally, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand for that. No. I think there's a lot of people in America that need health care or need to be seen, but what is health care nowadays? Are we really taking care of your health, or are we just looking for a paycheck? I'll put you on these drugs to get you on these other drugs, and when you come off these drugs, you're going to need these drugs to counteract the other things, and I'm going to keep you coming back. It's the greatest drug dealer plug of all time. They're the greatest.
That's I just love how the universe works. I'm watching this in live time with y'all. And he literally started talking about the healthcare system right after I used it as an example. It's again, it's not to say everybody in the healthcare system is bad. It's not to sit here and say, oh, everybody's working with negative intent. Nah. However, certain things, certain aspects, certain companies were made specifically so it would yield certain results. And a lot of times we aren't taught to think about the outcomes of certain things we do, right? It's like how I explain this to my nieces and nephews. If you want to tell a big enough lie, you need some people that only know the truth. It's necessary, because how can you keep track of the lie if you don't know what's true to begin with? How can you tell a big enough lie if some people aren't operating out of goodwill and good faith? So I just think it's very interesting. The universe works in great ways. I didn't think he would say that. I'm literally watching this live with you.
Greatest of all time. It's not about taking care of you. It's about keeping you coming back to the plug. That's what healthcare is. That's what a lot of government is. Just to keep you coming back. We don't want you to have too much, but we just want you to keep you in a spot to where you have enough to where you have to keep coming back, dependent on us. It's a pimp.
Damn. And that is the business model.
That's the business model. The greatest country in the world, their business model, from the government to healthcare to everything, damn near, is based off of the mindset and business model of a pimp and a drug dealer and the mafia. We built this, it's run off of a system and ideology that when it's Joe Schmo doing it down the street, he's a criminal. But when he lives up in the Capitol building, he's a politician. Woo!
Now, I also want to throw this in. I know I keep stopping it, but this is a 15-minute video. We're going to break this down for a little bit. I just want to ask the question, how many generations of people have died, men and women, who were able to think and take their emotions out of it, that have said these same sentiments, and we're still saying it to this very day? I say, I'm gonna find the video talking about Bacon's rebellion. It's gonna add into a whole lot of this stuff, because you can actually pinpoint where these decisions are being made. We're gonna get into it.
That's hard.
Damn, Nick, you preaching today.
It's not Sunday yet, or Saturday.
It's Sunday today of me making this video.
Yeah, getting there. It's not even preaching, it's just facts.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's just facts. I think a lot of people think about this stuff. They see it, but just don't say it. I think some people don't say it and get out there and say it because they're scared they might get the Yeshua treatment, the Jesus treatment.
Mm-hmm.
You start talking too much, and then you know what happens after that. So I think a lot of people don't speak the truth in that aspect because of that. You know, everybody who's tried to go up against the system has died. You know, from all the black messiahs back in the day, from the leader of the Black Panther Party, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King,
Huey P. Newton for the Black Panthers Party.
It's Garvey. I mean, it's the list goes on and on and on.
Medgar Evers.
You don't stand up against the system. You can't buck it.
Well, this guy, Luigi, he damn sure has stood up against the system, and he may die in prison.
More than likely, yeah.
More than likely. I think that's a safe thing to say. I mean, this guy comes from wealth, valedictorian of his class.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is not, just a regular person. This guy's wealthy. Family is wealthy.
He was fed up. He was fed up. He was fed up. Yeah. Those are the big, I guess, some of the most fearful people is a man who's fed up.
Listen. I just want you to. I need you to understand. They're going to make an example out of Luigi Mangione. And this is us repeating. When people say there's nothing new under the sun, or all things come back around full circle, cliches are here for a reason, to remind us that humans have been here for hundreds of thousands of years, not just thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, possibly even more as far as we know. All right, especially if they start getting into uranium dating, outside of carbon dating, you start using uranium dating, the timeline shifts on a lot of stuff. Bacon's rebellion was about a guy who was fed up. I don't want to say too much because, again, my life is just getting started. I think the snowball is already rolling. We have a currency system that's already in place. Most people are dependent on it. Even I, to a degree, am dependent on it. I still need to get paid. I got bills. There's things I want to do in life. But it doesn't change what truth is. So when you start putting certain minds together, and I get why, the government was so upset when the whole Apple team, Steve Jobs and that whole team, even if Steve Jobs stole it from his partner at the time, for them creating the internet and devices for all of us to connect, because now we can actually start piecing together the information faster, and we could start verifying and correcting and revising each other in live time. And that's like the acceleration has increased with it itself of the destruction of systems and a way of life that was built off of lies, deceit, deception, negative energy, poor intent, and things of that nature. But let's get back into it. I'm glad I had the time. Woke up, came across this clip. So let's get back into this. It's gonna be real good, real good. Already, I'm liking it. So yeah, y'all see me? I'm back. Word.
Those are some scary individuals. When you're fed up at your wits' end. And I don't know his whole story. Like, was he somebody in his family, they needed health care or something?
As far as they know right now, no. And that's what makes this story even more compelling because it's one thing if I'm sure, again, he comes from wealth. I'm sure his family can afford the best health care. But the reason that he has so many people looking at him,
Again, it's just not like it's a shock to a lot of people because a lot of people don't know history. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. That is another cliche to the human existence. Cliches keep us as humans from making the simple things too complex. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. Bacon himself was a part of the establishment at one point. Luigi Mangione, that comes from wealth, basically means he comes from the establishment. He was Ivy League. Most people that go Ivy League are a part of the establishment. Or they're weaned into the establishment because they have some type of wealth in some other country that is a part of their establishment whatsoever. And it becomes a leverage and power play. Let's get into it.
as their personal champion because he stuck it to the man, is because this is what everyday folks who don't have a lot of money go through.
So he was the Joker.
You saw our pain.
Yeah.
You saw the fact that my child was.
This is literally the personification of Bacon's rebellion through and through. And this is, man, it makes, I'm not saying I'm happy, but it's almost like vindicating because for so long as a teen, as a young adult, which I still am, but I mean early 20s, I was saying this stuff and people were just looking at me like I had another head attached to my body. So while I was in high school, while I was in college, so I just stopped talking. All right, and now look, things are just playing on their own. It's like, well, hey, what do you want? They tell you to go to the library to check out a book, but you went to the library to just check out the book. You didn't go to the archives. You didn't go to the section where nobody goes. You didn't try to get lost in the library and try to find your way back and look at books and ancient maps where you didn't pick up the books where the date says 1600 on it. You didn't pick up the books where they had photocopies and if some of the books actually had the hand inscriptions of letters and diaries of people. Yeah, it's vindicating because now it's also showing too, this guy doesn't have a degree. I'm a college dropout. I scrub toilets for a living if it's up to me. I think that's an honorable job. You know, I don't mind custodial work. But then it's like, dang, all these people with degrees, they're not saying none of this.
Just diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and I can do nothing about it except hear the doctors give me the runaround. You saw the fact that my dad, was just diagnosed with whatever it might be, and we are literally losing everything trying to keep up with these bills, these payments.
Crazy.
And if not, they won't treat them. That's why this young man, is getting so much support.
Yeah, I can see why. And Robin Hood, that's why the people loved Robin Hood too. He stole from the rich and gave to the poor. People resonate with that. He's the average, at that moment, regardless of all the wealth that he may have had or had, he resonated with the average person, living in America. And that sent the message. It wasn't like blowing yourself up inside of a Cybertruck message and talking about UAPs, you know. He sent it to, we can all, at some point, I'm sure most of us can relate to the healthcare system and how much of a debacle that could be. I use the VA, and like, you want to talk about ass? Go to the VA. Go to the VA health system. Navigate that. Navigate that maze. It's like, yeah, yeah. That's an ass of a system that should be
Are you,
completely reformed.
really?
100%. I mean, and they're slowly, supposedly, allegedly, trying to make things better. But you can go back a couple of years, a few months, and there's guys who are having a hard time and offing themselves, deleting themselves, removing themselves from this earth because of just crazy treatment. You know, I got stories for days from just me having gotten out and trying to get help and seek help for all types of things, from mental health to you name it. So I got a laundry list of stories of how the VA healthcare system is a complete mess. I don't know how anybody who's 18, 19, 20 something years old who gets out the military, I don't understand. I understand because I've been there, but it's a shout out to them who have to navigate that atrocious system called healthcare, sponsored by Department of Veterans or the Veterans Administration. It's yeah, they don't care about nothing. If you think your doctor doesn't care about you and your health, go to the VA. You got 15 minutes, 30 minutes, that's all I got. Get out. Here's a bag of some drugs. Have it, be on your way. And when you get off these drugs, then you're really going to be loopy and messed up. Then you got to get on these drugs. But I'll see you again in 6 months. Or you want to schedule something? It's about 8 months away. But I'm hurt right now. I'll see you in 6 months. Yeah.
Damn. Damn. You know, Vlad sat down with D.L. Hughley,
Mhm.
and D.L. and he spoke about this very subject about the assassination, and we'll just call it what it is, of the CEO of United Healthcare. And D.L. Hughley said something that was profound. He said karma is a pre-existing condition.
Mm.
All you saw, if you watch any of the newspapers, any of the stories, it was about how Americans were basically saying, good. I guess now we know karma is a pre-existing condition.
Karma is a pre-existing
This dude's
condition.
job.
I know.
Now, I understand where some people would say, well, I don't believe in karma. I don't. That's a whole nother faith, this, that, and the third. So a lot of people miss, whether it be Christians, Catholics, Buddhists, Hindus, even down to your Satanists and your pagans, your Torah believers, your Islamists. Most people that practice these religions aren't even taught, yet again, see, when you don't know the things you're taught, most people aren't taught that these religions are nothing more than derivatives of spirituality. Spirituality is a personification of energy. So, right, let's take another example, right? Batman, Joker, two sides of the same coin. Good, bad, two sides of the same coin. Up, down, two sides of the same coin. You cannot have one without the other. Batman, Joker is a personification of justice, injustice. Who's really the bad guy here? You need both sides of the same coin. You can't have a coin with only one side. You see what I'm saying? So now, when you take the religious aspect, everybody just wants to take the good with it, but also forget you can't take the good without the bad. You wouldn't have good if there wasn't a bad reference to begin with. So we sit here and look down upon the Satanists, and it's like, listen, you don't have to agree, but you got a point of reference of what you may or may not want to do. You have a point of reference on what could take place. Right? And now we're just going to sit here and say there's no religion besides Satanism that practices negative activities, negative beliefs or negative intents. I don't want to get too far into it, but I'm just speaking towards the overall gist of things so we can actually understand what the world is expressing, and not just the world, but the universe. Because remember, and this is another law of the human existence, our eyes Literally, the eyes on our face, which is made of the same material as a certain region of our brain, so technically our brain, or what we call our eyes, can only receive 1% at most and at best of all the energies that surround us. What we see out of the visible light spectrum is a tiny is 1%. That's one out of 100, if that. That's if your eyes are really good, and that's if you're interpreting properly. So when people sit here and use these religions as an example to say or to explain what we're seeing, or to make jokes out of certain things, there are no coincidences in the universe. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Then some people could say, well, did this guy specifically deserve it? Probably not. Probably not. I'm not sitting here saying that. What I am saying is there was probably some energy that he dabbled in, and this was his life. At some point, we all have to pass on. Or we could sit here and say maybe his ancestors did something. And the time scale is different for us. The smaller you get, time changes. The larger you get, time changes. Yeah, okay, let's take another religious reference. 1,000 years on earth could be a day in heaven, or vice versa. The time is not the same. It's even when you get down into a quantum perspective, time shifts. Even on an atomic level, time shifts. Atomic decay is different than macro decay. So, I get where it's hard, because now you don't want to sit, for those that have been living life, not sitting here thinking about these things. You got to sit here and say, oh my gosh, did I do something? At a certain point, you just got to accept your choice. You made your choices, and the consequences that come, accept it. That's the experience of life. Do I want to see people? Do I personally want to see people killed? No, not necessarily. However, I also understand that lions got to chase down gazelles and eat if we're still going to see lions. You jump down into the Amazon River and there happen to be hippos there, you've made a poor decision. And that energy is going to reflect that, because hippos aren't necessarily gentle creatures. Let's get back into this.
You said this on stage.
Yeah, this dude's job was to delay, deny, delay, and defend.
Like, how real is that? Is this just a case of chickens coming home to roost? Is this just karma coming back?
Could be the great, not the.
I've been receiving checks from Charles Schwab.
Oh, my bad. Advertisements.
An awakening could be the great, not the great awakening, but an awakening from. You ever look back at those stories? Let's say an example. I'm going to use the Holocaust, whatever. Like, when you have more of one demographic, like, why didn't they just rise up against there was more of them than there were X, Y, and Z. I don't know. Stories like that. I think we're stronger as a people together, and I just don't think that we need a lot of the BS, bureaucratic stuff that goes on in this country. I think most of it's meant for us to just be at a certain level, all around the board. I don't think the system is meant for anyone to really thrive. And you can pitch the whole just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work harder, cliche. But for some people, in certain circumstances, it's impossible to do that, and it's all designed. or it's based on a system that the powers that be institute, and there's no way of escaping that. Not everybody can, you know, yeah, make it out of that system. Um, and like you said, you get pissed off at the system every once.
No way. I just did all that talking and had my mic off. Oh man, you know what? Shout out to the ancestors. Oh, that's so embarrassing. But it's alright. Growing pains.
Once in a while, when you go to get health care for your child who came down with the rare form of whatever, and he can't get help, then
Yeah.
yeah, it hurts the average day person. If it happened to my son, I'd be like John Q, you know, in a heartbeat.
No, it does hurt, and it hurts even more because we know it's possible.
Yeah.
We,
John Q was a great movie. Yeah, nah, I still can't get over that. I just did all that talking. My mic was off. But I was basically saying I'm gonna do a video on Bacon's Rebellion. I said a lot and I forgot a lot of it. Uh, I'm gonna do a video on that just so we could piece the puzzle together for you at least, because I know what I'm piecing together. Uh, you know, damn.
we know it is possible to have true universal health care.
Mhm.
You're paying all of this money into the government. You're watching our government fund wars that is somewhere on the other side of the planet, giving billions of dollars every what seems to be quarter,
Right.
and you have countries where healthcare is taken care of.
Yep.
And it's not like we're not paying taxes.
And
It's not
education
like
too.
you don't have the blueprint. It's one thing if there was no blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you go to places like Canada, and I believe that they have, healthcare is taken care of in Canada. There's a blueprint. There's
Yeah.
a way to do this.
Yeah.
And us being the richest country on planet Earth, we just can't seem to figure this thing out. But more important, you're watching people get rich. These pharmaceutical companies and
Mhm.
the system itself make money hand over fist for the very
Man.
reason that you just spoke about, because the business model is to keep you coming back.
Mhm.
The business model is to have you pay, but when you need us, the deductible is so high, you got to shell out more money
Yeah.
before we can even help you.
Yeah.
Th-
Where does the money
There's
go? Where does the money go? Where does it go? Like that's my question. I'm genuinely asking. Like, where does it go? Where does all of this money go?
Yeah, I think we'd all like to know that answer to that. You know something, Nick? Before I lose my train of thought, and this is off, it's on topic, but it's off topic. The the NYPD, uh, New York's finest, they seem to do a hell of a job. They had a whole lot of information on this shooter very very quick.
Right.
Yeah, right. Like they could track his movements coming in. I believe he came in from Pennsylvania. They knew what time he got off the bus. They knew where he was like literally damn near in 24 hours.
Yeah.
They were piecing this thing together in a way that I've almost never seen.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
is this kudos to the NYPD, or do they just pick and choose who they want to put their time and resources into? Because if Ray Ray from up the block gets killed on 125th Street, the killer seems to never get found.
Yep.
If a rapper seems to get gunned down, the killer just seems to never get found.
Yep.
So do we applaud them for this, or is it just a showing of, yo, you know what? We go after, and this is bigger than the NYPD. This is just America.
Mhm.
We put resources into the cases, into the victims
That make the
that we
headlines.
feel make the headlines and matter.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what it is, man. And then the other half of the time, he was on our radar. Like, yeah, we knew this guy was.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, yeah. But at six.
Yeah, nah, they've definitely said the quiet part out loud. especially in that last bit. Super, super, super glad that I sat and reacted to that. Again, I feel so embarrassed. I was sitting there doing all that talking, didn't even have my mic on. But it's all right though. More videos to come. Uh, keep tapping in with me again, only on Instagram, only on YouTube at the b.o.m.experience. More videos to come. Like I said, definitely going to do that Bacon's Rebellion video, just so it could make some more sense about how things get into play and how there are people at the top that will sit there and make certain decisions, even down to how we know we need certain laws passed, but they never get passed. But if somebody has enough money, they can sit there and pass a law, and it's like, well, hey, this is the game we play. But at the same time, is it right that we're playing this game? And then for a majority of us, we all were born into this. It's not like we chose to a certain degree, um, that this would be the world we're living in. However, somewhere down the line, we might have said, hey, I want to play by these rules. But this was certainly fun. Glad I tapped in with y'all. Glad you tapping in with me. Uh, like, comment, share, subscribe, show some love. DM me some questions on IG, some videos you want me to react to. I'll see if I can squeeze it in. But I certainly enjoyed this. Ciao.